me in welcoming Actress Khaliah Armani. Welcome to Chat with Chondee, Khaliah.
Hi.
So much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's just jump right in. When did you first started acting? Do you even remember?
I just remember starting off going to see shows, and then I do my own little skits. And then after that, when I got into middle school, that's when I actually started acting with other people and doing different things like that, and being in an acting class.
Okay, awesome. What type of shows were you going to see? Like, were these theater shows, like going into a theater, live theater?
Yeah, so my mom would take me to the River Center, and they do Junie B. Jones there, and they do different shows like that. It was there was another girl at the time that was kind of like Junie B. Jones. They did a show like that, and we just go see children's theater. You said what now?
Mona Quimby, we went to that one.
Yeah, her. So we go see shows like that, and then as I got older, especially when I got into school and stuff, we go on field trips to see different theater at the Springer. So yeah, that's when I started seeing those kinds of shows.
Okay. When did it kind of click for you that this was something that you wanted to pursue, especially going into college and continuing on to do it? And what have you learned since you've actually been, in school for it?
So I kind of decided my senior year really, that this was gonna actually be a career that I'm gonna take. Because at first I was like, oh, I want to be a lawyer, and I just stuck with that. I stuck with that for the longest time. It's like, I'm gonna just be a lawyer, and I'm gonna act on the side. That's gonna be like something I just do on the side. But then my teacher, Miss Hanson, she was the one that kind of just made me think this is something you can actually do and love it, and you can lead towards making money and making a living for yourself. You know what I mean? Even though it may not start off that way, it's a process. And she made me realize that the process is something I'm willing to go through, because the process is that fun part that made me want to be in theater. So yeah, and so I learned that within theater, even if I acting doesn't just suit me, if I don't make it through there, I've always wanted to teach, and I could do the educational route of theater and teach theater, especially working with children. I like working with children, doing children's theater. So that's another thing I've learned here with my professor. Something I've learned, it's just it's gonna be a process, and then it's gonna be this marathon, and you take each step, you get closer and closer. They're giving us new opportunities to be able to work with different theaters and things like that. And they're telling us hey, this is your chance to get out there, get your name out there, have someone that actually wants to work with you. And then you work with them, and it just keeps going up the ladder. And it's just these little marathons that you go through to get to the finish line.
I love it. There's a commercial out right now. I can't even remember what the commercial is for, but it's a lot of celebrities in the commercial, and they have a saying in it that it's about the journey, not necessarily the destination. So just enjoy. And even with an athlete, of course, anybody on a team or in a sport, they want to win, and that's the ultimate goal that people look at. But the losses along the way help you as well. And speaking of that, do you know of a time when there was a role that you really wanted and you went out for, but you didn't get it?
Okay, this may sound little. I've always gotten the role that I really wanted. I really have.
Excuse me.
I really have. If I got into the show, I got the role that I really wanted. A show that I didn't get into at all, and I wanted to be in West Side Story, and I wanted to be Anita in middle school. But I didn't get, I ended up doing Spotlight, So that's one of the things that
And you know what? That
that
spotlight was just as important as any of those roles. It really takes a team to put anything off. Even doing my YouTube channel, Chat with Chondee, and yes, it's called Chat with Chondee. There are other things that go on, and you've seen it, you know, being my daughter, that there are other things. My first episode with my mom, you were there with lighting and helping produce things and stuff like that. So it really, you can't do anything alone in this life. It just takes people to get things done together, you know?
Yeah, and that's something we're learning here. I just decided yesterday with my advisor that I'm gonna stay a BA instead of trying a BFA, which would make me have to focus on acting. And I didn't want to just focus on acting, so I'm a BA. So I'm going to be focusing in the tech, the costume, acting, so that I can learn all aspects of the theater, so that I'll have that chance to work with everybody and get to know. And also as an actor, it humbles you, because you know what everyone else around you have to go through. And it just makes you a better person on stage, and just a better person to work with when you understand what everyone is doing and you know how to do it. Right. More people want to hire you, and you're just a well-rounded person.
I love that, Khaliah, and I love that you're learning that. And that's also something that I've learned, because I don't even know if we've ever had this conversation, but when I was little, and people asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, I always said I wanted to be an actress. And that's something that, you know, I really wanted to do, but I don't think I was as courageous as you, and, you know, stuck with it and went for everything that I could have. And something that helped me also, because, you know, I like to write and create characters and things like that. Well, and being part of this musical that was done here locally, the Motown show that we both worked on, I did not have a role, never was up for a role to be in it, but I worked behind the scenes, and becoming a part of that Motown family, that was something that truly touched me. And I think it really came at a time when I needed it, because during the time that we were working on it, I lost my mom, and, you know, I had this that was going on that was so big. It was something bigger than outside of myself, you know, and I wasn't the center of that, but I was just as important as all the other moving parts. And it really felt like a family and community. And I really loved that. And I can't wait to get back to that in whatever aspect it comes, you know?
Yeah, I feel like theater does that for a lot of people. Like, that's why a lot of people join the theater, because it's like, it gives you that sense of community and family and something bigger than yourself. And I think that's one of my, like, I've never just been shy per se, but I am very, like, if I'm like in a social area, I'm closed off. But like when I'm in theater, it all comes out, and it's like no one around you is judging you. We're all here to be a family and an ensemble, and we're just together. So I think that's like something that everyone can relate to in theater, and that's why I like it so much, or love it so much.
Right, and that kind of brings me to another subject, because, you know, you have acting on stage versus filming. Do you think that theater is something where your heart is, that you always want to do, or are you interested in being a film actress as well?
I'm interested in being a film actress as well. But theater is like where theater is the heart of film, to be honest with you. Like in my mind, I'm like, if you're gonna do film, you need to do theater first. Because theater is like, it's gonna give you the stepping ground, but like what you need, that foundation, of what you need, and give you like meaning behind it. Like my professor told us today, we're anthropologists, because we have to, as actors, we have to search people, you know, research people and understand cultures and things like that. So to be able to portray a character on film or on stage, you're gonna have to have that background, that history, that story, that research, that study, and theater gives you that. You're able to study people around you. Because with film, like, you come in for your clip, you do that. It's super fast, and it's about the money, and, you know, it's moving. Even when it's fun, even though it's fun, still theater, it's a little bit more, I feel, intimate, and it gives you gives you that sense of pride. Like, I actually did this. This is my work. I still be proud with film, but with theater, it just gives you something different for me. So I do want to try out film, but theater is like where my heart is.
Okay, let's talk about briefly just a few of the roles that you've played. Let's bring up one that sticks out in my mind. What's the character's name that you think I'm about to bring up?
Roberta.
Yes. So, okay, guys, this is my daughter, my firstborn baby girl, and she was telling me about this show that she was doing. It was called Working, right? Working. It was all these different characters that were going to be in the show and with different occupations and all of this. And she told me she got the role of Roberta. I was so excited for her. And then she told me Roberta's occupation. Tell them about old Roberta.
Well, Roberta was a prostitute. Mind
you, this was still in high school. So I was, tell them how your mama was, baby. Tell them about your
mama. Mama did not want me to play this part. She asked me many questions every day. After rehearsals, I actually had two roles in this part. It was Barbara, she was a co-executive, and then Roberta, and she was the prostitute. And Mom was like, well, how's Barbara? She just talked about Barbara all the time. She didn't want to bring up Roberta.
I was having no parts of Roberta, but let me
Roberta. But this is the thing. That's another thing with theater. Like, you have to understand everyone's story. You know, Roberta, she wasn't someone that just. This wasn't like something she wanted to do. It was something that she ended up having to do, and because she didn't want to be this cleaning woman that her mom was, or just this wife to someone, she wanted to have her own say in what she does, and for her, that was her way of, this is me being me and having control over my life. So she feels in control in that aspect, you know what I mean, with her occupation, just as Barbara did as a co-executive.
Yeah. So now, how was your mom after the show?
She loved it. She loved all parts.
I love Roberta just as much as
Roberta was a classy. She was classy, not, baby. She was not the prostitute you think she was. She wasn't on the street. She wasn't on the side. You have to call her, make an appointment. You know what I mean? Like, she was the classy prostitute. So Mama loved it. She loved it.
Did you ever, before I even said anything, at any point, did you have any reservations about playing Roberta or how you would be perceived by playing that part? Did any of that go through your mind?
When I first read the script, I was like, oh, there's a prostitute. That was before I even auditioned. And then when I got into auditions and she told me to read for Roberta, and I was like, oh, this is a prostitute. And I started reading her story, and it was like, okay. And then I go and look, and it was like, I got Roberta, and I'm like, oh, okay. It was like a funny thing. But then as me getting into my homework as an actor, I was like, okay, like, just look at her life, look at what it is, look at the background of it. Don't just go in with any preconceived notions about her or what you're going into. And like, you had asked me a bunch of questions about how I felt about being a Christian and being you compared it to, you know, doing like different stuff in film, you know, even like having like a sex scene or this and that, and it's the respect thing for you as a person. I didn't feel like I was disrespecting myself as a person because I read back on her and who she was and how I wanted to portray her. So I did my homework, you know what I mean? And that's what you have to do as an actor to develop your character.
And I was very proud of you. I was very proud of you and how you stuck to your guns, and, you know, even, you know, you my mama, but I am who I am, and this is what's going on. And I was proud of you for that.
Thank you. I didn't know you was that proud.
Also, let's just talk a little bit. How do you go into preparing yourself for auditions, going into, you know, new shows?
So for auditions, okay, I'm a procrastinator at the fullest, but for auditions, that's when I try not to procrastinate, because if I get in there and I don't know the lines very well, I'm gonna slip up. Even if I've like read over them, I'm gonna slip up. So I have to come in super prepared. I don't read over my monologue before I go in because it's gonna freak me out. So we've learned how to do these different warm-ups here. Like since I've been here and I've auditioned, I do my warm-up, my personal warm-up that I created as my, my acting warm-up. So I made my own warm-up. So I do my warm-up before my audition. And then before, I would just kind of like be at peace with myself. It's hard to do that in high school because a lot of people are like, oh, are you ready for the audition? Are you scared? Right. So I have to separate myself from everyone and just put myself to the side and just like talk to myself, send you a text, like I'm talking to you, just chilling, like being on the sideline, trying to just get into my space. Right. Because developing your character, sometimes different monologues can take you different places because you are trying to portray this character, but you also have to connect personally. Right. So when you get into it, like you have to take yourself to this place and you have to prepare yourself for that, especially like emotionally, because it could take you a minute to get out of it, so.
I get that. Just a couple more questions for you. One being, what has been one of your favorite roles to play so far?
I love Arkansas Bear when I was the world's greatest bear.
I love this
because that was like after Granny had died, and the whole story was about this girl losing her grandfather, and they were so close, and she couldn't. The story was she couldn't bear losing him, and she couldn't understand that. And me, as the world's greatest bear, I couldn't understand losing my life. I couldn't understand why was it time for me to go. But at the end, you have to realize, like, you're gonna leave your footprint and you're gonna leave something to remember. And Arkansas Bear was the world's greatest bear's kind of token to the world. And you always leave your token. And I felt like Granny left us as her tokens. Yep. And
we of her and each of us.
Right. And it just kind of like that piece was just kind of like my coping of Granny, like me grieving from Granny's death. So being that character, it helped me in my grieving.
And I was out there in the audience, boo-hoo-hooing.
Yeah, I cried every day in rehearsals. I'm like, me and Miss Hanson, we had to talk every day after rehearsals, like after notes. We have to talk and then like cry and then get out and then go back into places. Like it was like, it's crazy. And then like that in that role, I won greatest actress overall. And we went to competition, so it made me feel good that I actually embodied the role, and I was there and I was present. I felt like I was the world's greatest bear. I was there in the
I feel like you do that with every role, though. I feel that you always give it your all, no matter what the role is, that you always put yourself into it. And I go into a place where I forget that's my kid up there, and I'm just into the story. So
everyone kept telling me that, and that made me feel so good that I was there. And because I really did my homework with that role, and I really went home like every day trying to work on who is the world's greatest bear, how does he move, how does he talk, how does he interact with people, he had his mind, what's their backstory. You have to create these things as an actress when you go in with your homework. And so I really felt like I worked really hard on that role, and the feedback I got from it was like a reward for what I did.
I love it. And lastly, tell us about your upcoming show, because this will be the first one where you're not behind the scenes, but you're actually in the show as a character at West Georgia since you've been in college. So tell us about that role. Tell us also how people can buy tickets and how they can view the show once it's available.
Okay, so this is my first college show. It's the Verizon play. I'm playing Anissa. It will be available on showtix.com. I can give you the link so that you can put it into your description or whatnot. And you can look up University of West Georgia. And it will be running from April 27th to April 27th to May 1st. And the tickets will be $10.
Awesome, awesome. And tell us a little bit about what we can look forward to in that show without giving too much.
Okay, so it's super fun. It's very thrilling. It's a comedy. It's about customer service, no service. We've all been going through customer service and not getting any service done. It's gonna take you through the roller coaster of not getting what you need out of customer service. It's gonna that shaking moment where you just want to shake the person over the phone, but you can't. So yeah, it's gonna give you that. It's really fun. It's fun.
Well, I look forward to that, and we will definitely have that posted in the description box so everybody can go out. It's $10, guys. You spend more than that on your lunch. Go support my baby and the University of West Georgia Theater Department. And thank you again, Khaliah. It's been great chatting with you, and I really enjoyed talking with you today.
Thank you for having me, Mommy.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.